everybody's probably there.
They must have been. Yeah, they could.
Jim, was Tracy Turner not going to be here?
Yes, but she has cancer because of the snow.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Matt Hurwitz. Yep. So far. Stay tuned.
Okay, we'll call council to order at 6 p.m. I need a motion for adoption of minutes, please.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on Monday, April 10th, 2017 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Espy and seconded by Councillor Dreger. All those in favor? And that's carried. Before we open the public hearing for the tax levy bylaw, we have a short presentation from Councillor Buds.
Thank you. So we do have the financial plan presentation present on the big screen, and I'll be walking through several slides. So the first slide is the planning cycle. This is a cycle that has been adopted for the last number of years by council. It is worth noting that this year there were some changes to the timing of this schedule, and that was due to unforeseen circumstances, but we are back on track and we'll have all of our reporting information into the province within a timely manner. But we do include this slide annually just to show the amount of work and that's involved in the budget process, the capital planning process, debt management plan process, directional statement, et cetera, et cetera. So the 2017 capital projects or purchases, in summary, it's a preparation year. Excuse me, it's more smaller, less large projects, purchases in numbers. So just to give you an idea, there is in the general fund number 49 of the projects are being completed, and you can see the funding sources both from an operating and a reserve perspective as well as granting funds. And the utility has 17 projects, again with the sources identified of where those funds are coming from. So 2017 projects, $200,000 and greater, excluding grants. Protective services, just go department by department. We did already do this, as we know. We did approve new breathing apparatuses for the fire department. Transportation services, there's some money aligned for 18th Street paving and rail crossing, which is 75% funded by grants. Water treatment plant upgrade, $1.6 million. 50% of that funded by the province of Manitoba, and multiple and collective projects in plant to upgrade the processes. So there's a lot of work being done, and we hear a lot about our wastewater treatment plant, but not behind the scenes, but up front and center is work that's being done on our water treatment plant as well. But flipping to the other side is the wastewater and pollution control facility, phase 1 of our BVF, bulk volume fermenter, and $1.5 million for the procurement process, or that's the planning process in 2017. You do hear from me on a regular basis that there are challenges when we do through our budget and our capital planning. There is always many, many needs in a city of this size and only so many dollars to go around. Some of the some of the challenges that we did face was a 3.29% arbitrated salary increase for firefighters. Managers were asked to reduce expenditures to contain property tax increases, and overall a $90,000 operating expense reduction did occur. There's still some uncertain costs repairing the Shillaman Aquatic Center roof. I do know that that is very well along the way, but there, again, we are seeing situations where there could be increasing costs related to that. This is not an issue that only City of Portage la Prairie deals with, but most of Manitoba and Canada, for that matter, is our aging infrastructure. There's many, many needs for repair, replacement, and renew below street grade. Not flashy. Citizens do not see it, but it's a vital service that is definitely requiring some additional funding. And we talked about this in the past. It's about being investment ready. An exciting time for Portage la Prairie to embark on, but also costly. The city expansion requires infrastructure building. So we do have a lot of good things going for our region. So we have to be prepared for that and take steps to make sure we are. So in a pie chart, there's the budgeted revenue in our general side. So you can see the bulk of that comes from municipal taxes. We have fines, sales of service from a protective standpoint, environmental, provincial municipal tax sharing, conditions or conditional grants from both the federal and provincial governments, and then our transfer from reserves. So pretty much sums up where the funds are coming from for our budget on the general side. Then utilities, water revenues, transfers from reserves, provincial grants, and other. So on one side, we talk about where the money comes from, and this pie graph is showing where the money is being spent in all the other categories. You can see a pretty extensive spreading out of the dollars are being spent across many, many different areas within our city. But there is some key highlights in those expenditures of $5.8 million on one side and 3.19 on the other. So that was the general side. The next one is the utility side: water supply, sewage collection and disposal, capital contributions, transfer to reserves, and debenture charges. I think it's important to note that on both sides, we do through our operating dollars spent contribute annually to the reserves. We do hear lots where we're taking money out of reserves for expenditures, and it's important also to remember that we're always putting money back in. Call it the proverbial savings account. You empty that savings account for major purchases, but you have to continue to contribute to it, and that is what this council is doing. So we did, at this juncture, have another look at our property taxes. So this is our financial plan that I'm rolling out here tonight, and it includes 10-year capital spending. But we did have an opportunity to revisit our property taxes and review our budget. So what the financial impact or the final impact is, there is no new municipal property taxes in 2016. So there is no municipal property taxes in 2016. You can see the mill rate does not change. There is just the small mill rate change from the school division impact, and we collect those taxes on behalf of the school division and remit, but from our standpoint, there is none. So an impact on a property taxes, so we usually do this annually for citizens to show what would be the impact on a tax assessed home or an assessment of $100,000. And you can see the difference between 2017 and 16 is not made up from municipal taxes, but the small difference is again from the education levy or the school taxes that are collected. That of course is net of the $700 homeowner tax school rebate. There we go. So 10-year historical mill rates. You can see that there has been a declining trend in our mill rate in the city for the last, since about 2009. At least from my chair, you've continually heard me talk about our competitiveness, and you heard again from the investment-ready standpoint. We have to be prepared for the future, and one of those is comparing us to our peers, which is the next slide. So Portage la Prairie holds property taxes mill rate the same as 2016, but as you can see, in 2016, we don't have all that information for 2017 yet, but there still was a considerable disparity between our peers in Dauphin, Thompson, Steinbach, and Brandon, and of course the RM. This is something that the City Council in the region needs to continue to work on. We've heard of, the Roquette investment in our community is fantastic, but make no mistake, potential other investors in communities, when they're looking at our peers, do take a look at the level of taxation and the cost of services to operate here. So moving to our 10-year capital plan, similar to our budget, there's many demands. We really need to be investment ready, not only for the major announcement, but for all the spin-offs. And the other item that was up for lots of discussion was the Island Park Bridge, and there's an update on the total capital cost for that in our plan. So 10-year capital projects over $1 million funded from our general fund. So I've identified the term on how long it'll take and when it commences, approximately. So we have, for those of you who have been following our 10-year capital plan, Saskatchewan Avenue West, inclusive of pavement overlays, curbing, and below-grade infrastructure, has been on the 10-year capital plan, and it's moving closer and closer to fruition. It is a 3-year plan commencing in 2025, and the total 10-year amount is approximately $16 million. The Island Park Bridge, commencing in 2018, we did delay the construction of that bridge for 1 year, and primarily as a result of some of the changes that were happening over at Shillaman Aquatic Center and the roof repair, but that is a 3-year project as well, pegged at $7.2 million. And you can see our heavy equipment renewals, extensive paving project on 5th Avenue and 8th and Tupper, over $1 million, and a much-needed land drainage sewer cleaning program annually. So you can see over $1 million 10-year capital projects exceeding $28 million. And the utility side. So same idea, anything over $1 million, and the timing of those projects, how long they're going to take. I won't go through all those in detail, but there is extensive amount of work that's being done on our utility, within the utility, not only for the preparation of what's coming, for upgrades that are required, and the massive amount of investment that's required just to keep our system going. It is a system that, if we did not have the industry we have present, it is a very large and extensive system, but over $56 million spent over the 10-year capital plan from the city's perspective in the utility. So just specifically to the largest expenditure on the utility side is the wastewater and water pollution control plant upgrade. Phase 1 is in 2018, and Phase 2 carries through to 2020. The Phase 2 is funded by the federal and provincial governments, and there's additions for repayments and other funding coming to the 10-year capital plan for 2018 and following. So this is a project that will follow us through for the next number of years, as there's investment in our community and obviously our preparation in concert with our partners at the provincial and federal level. Okay, so I'm not going to go necessarily through this particular document. Again, this presentation will be available on our website, and it outlines where the funding sources is coming through the next number of years for a 10-year capital plan, obviously rounded on both the general and the utility side. I think it's important also to project our combined reserve balances. And it, as said here, a total utility includes regular and nutrient removal reserves. So you can see again where we transfer from and to both the general and utility side, as well as one of our larger reserves being fuel tax, and one which we use for the repayment of debt. So balances at the end of 2017, this is basically just a year, so $7 million, $13 million, and $3 million. I think it's also it's very important to keep in mind exactly how much outstanding debt there is. So a reduction of 2.2 million outstanding between 2016 and 17. You can see the general side of things in 2016 was at about $10 million and the utility at 2, bringing those totals down to around 10.2. Much of the general side debt is still remaining debt outstanding with the Stride Place, and the utility is in better shape, but as we know and been communicated to all of council and the citizens, that the utility will be incurring a significant amount of debt over the next number of years. So it's, as we do, as I said at the beginning of this presentation, it was a kind of a planning year, and you can see that there's no new debt taken on in 2017. And as I said, any additional information is available at our website at that particular address. We will have this presentation. We will have the complete financial plan. We will have a tax impact calculator, so people can throw in their assessed value of their properties, and it will calculate the approximate tax increase, and which was already announced, but our granting information as well. So that concludes my financial plan presentation.
Thank you, Councillor Buds. Okay, we'll open the public hearing for tax law levy bylaw 17-8660. Is there anyone here to speak to the hearing? Okay, final call. Anyone here to speak to the hearing? I need a motion to close the public hearing. Moved by Councillor Buds and seconded by Councillor Fraze. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, so actually moving into the approval of the tax levy bylaw. So I won't go through the bylaw or the presentation in detail because we've just done that, but this kind of summarizes it for council's review one more time. So the City Council adopted the 2017 budget for the City of Portage la Prairie back in February. The tax levy bylaw is comprised of that budget in the financial plan and sets the mill rates needed to raise the necessary tax dollars to complete our plan. The 10-year capital plan also makes up part of the financial plan, and as I mentioned, it is all going to be submitted to the province on time. Giving this first reading today and then second and third reading at our next council meeting will still meet the requirements of the province. So the 2017 budget estimate relies on just over $11 million in property taxes, including special local improvement taxes, to meet all the expenditures not covered by other revenues, and there's no increase in tax dollars raised when compared to 2016. The municipal tax mill rate is based on the budgeted amount of tax dollars the municipality requires to meet its obligations in 2017, and that total tax dollar requirement is spread over the entire assessment base for the city. So the 2017 municipal tax rate is $20.762 for every $1,000 of the assessed portion subject to taxation. As I mentioned earlier, as you know, the school division sets its own levies, and we collect them, and it's our mandate to do that and then pass those on. So I've already gone through the impact, and as you know, and as made light 2 or 3 times now, there is no change to our mill rate, and the small amount is related back to the taxes of the school division. Once again, the tax impact calculator will be on our website and for everyone's review. Just a reminder, the tax payment deadline is Friday, July 31st.